Another week of shock results in the Turkish Süper Lig. Alanyaspor, Fenerbahçe and Trabzonspor all failed to win, while Beşiktaş and Galatasaray gained ground on their opponents. That and much more in this week's episode of Football a la Turca. Hello Turcaholics and welcome back to Football a la Turca Season 2 Episode 10 for Matchday 10 of the Turkish Süper Lig. My name is Kaan Bayazit and I'm joined once again by Yakup, Marufoglu, Umut, Naderi and the man of the law, Burak Sezgin.
Thank you for tuning in once again. We have an interesting episode for you this week. I hope you're going to enjoy it very much.
And Özer isn't here with us because he had a little detour and had to jump by and get into the studio with TRT World to talk a little bit about Galatasaray. I'm sure we'll have that up on our Twitter and Facebook feed soon. I believe they spoke about why exactly Galatasaray have struggled so much in their last 30 European games, and Özer was asked to come and comment on that. So check out our feeds on Twitter or on Facebook. I will try to have that video shared for you so you can check out Özer live on TRT World. Well,
Turkish football analyst Özer Dindjer, as he was referred to on the program.
Indeed. Well, what do we do here? Isn't it analyzing in a comedic way, perhaps sometimes? But
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Burak, how did you like my little special effects last week?
I think it needs more reverb, definitely. Just to give it a more echoey effect, like it's being shouted in a cave.
Well, I tried to make it louder and stuff, but then it was like crackling all over the place. So I decided to just not go too. I was already afraid that people would have their eardrums pop. Now, how I did it, because it was significantly louder than the normal volume. I noticed. It
was good. It's iconic now. Definitely.
Does that mean I'm going to have to do that every week?
Yeah, well, that's in the contract. Come on.
Jeez. Okay, well, anyway, let's get started with the Turkish Super League Matchday 10 results, because there were a lot of shockers again, and the Turkish Super League continues to be the most exciting league in Europe. Agree? Disagree, guys? Come on. I mean, where else is it this close? And 10 weeks in, our top three is... Nobody could have predicted it, and we'll get to that later. But let's get started on Friday. Galatasaray rebounding from their derby defeat last week and beating Rizespor 2-0 at home. Goals here coming from Montasar Talbi, an own goal in the 15th minute, and then in the 18th minute, Ryan Babel from the penalty spot. So Rizespor basically gifted them the 3 points on a silver platter within the first 20 minutes, a penalty and an own goal. Galatasaray didn't expand on their lead, even though they had some chances in the second half. But this match ends 2-0 full time. Umut, what were your thoughts about this game? How did Galatasaray play? Did you see any improvements? And what did you think of Rize?
Well, according to Fatih last week, telling about some changes on the squad for the next week, we saw them coming, and he changed the squad with some kind of Turkish players, with Ömer, and he also played with Jimmy Durmaz, Adem Büyük, and as well as Emre Mor in the starting lineup, and which was a great deal for Galatasaray, I think, and it totally worked out. But not to be deluded, because Çaykur Rizespor is a bad side of the league, quite, because they didn't really do much in the game, and I did really like Ömer's performance during the game. He handled the midfield really well with himself, and Lemina as well did good, and as Şener got injured in the second half, Mariano got in from the substitute bench, and he played a little bit same as well in the previous weeks. And I'm quite a bit disappointed with Jimmy Durmaz as well, because he's just couldn't do anything he wants on the field. He just seems so like fragile on the pitch. And from the other side, we can say Babel did better than what he usually does, but I think we should change the formation on Galatasaray's lineup. We should go into 4-4-2 instead of 4-3-3, because we don't have that kind of wingers, pacey wingers, what we usually have. And I was seeing that Onyekuru has been like out of the squad from the Monaco team and wasn't being selected in the starting lineup pretty much. And I've been thinking Fatih Terim would want him on the squad in the transfer window as a first choice to add into his squad, because I think he wants a winger kind of player with Onyekuru type, pacey, and also Fatih talked about that off the ball runs during his press talk. He also talked about like no players are doing those kind of off the ball runs on the pitch for Galatasaray, and he's been stressed about it. And I agree with that as well. So that's why we need Onyekuru type of wingers in our squad. And only player does this is in the squad is Ömer and Adem Büyük, and but that's all. Our squad is too aged, and that's why we're lacking the energy on the field.
And let me just interject there. So, do you feel that there was a real improvement here, or do you think that the early goals kind of masquerade the shortcomings that are still prevalent with Galatasaray?
Yeah, because early goal is a good thing, and we are playing a home game as well. That will do its trick as well. But I think it's same, because Çaykur Rizespor is not a well-designed team in his favor. So we did the same play as we did, but the trick is the Turkish players and the bench players coming into the starting lineup, and they wanted to show their value to the team instead of Belhanda, Feguli, and Mariano kind of players who aged and didn't want to do as much as the field.
Yeah. Any positions you would like to highlight here? Anything controversial happen in this match that you would like to talk about?
Controversial. I saw Ryan Babel's fall in the box from the goalkeepers when he was just off the ball, but it wasn't given as a penalty because the ref didn't think it was relevant to the position. But we have seen that kind of positions in the previous games that even though a player was brought down on the penalty area, it was given a penalty as well.
I think it also depends on is there a threat for injury or something? How does the goalkeeper come in? How fierce was the contact? Stuff like that. I didn't see this position, unfortunately, so I can't really comment.
I'm also quite happy about Andoni as well. He wants to show himself. Yeah, he wants to score really badly, and there was a position where he headed the ball from a corner, and the goalkeeper just saved it, and he happened to take it the rebound, but couldn't score it. But he was so furious that he was so determined to score a goal. He wants it, and that's a good impression when you want it from a player.
Okay. Finally, any updates on Radamel Falcao? Any sightings of?
That the reporters asked him about that, and he said that he won't be here for the Gaziantep game, and he won't be here for the Real Madrid game as well. So don't be expecting him in like 3 weeks, I think.
So is there any clarity on what the problem is? What's the issue with Falcao? Why is he not playing? Is it an injury?
My take is that he's been transferred as a injured but not severe, so they just rushed him into play and just wanted him to perform on the pitch in a Galatasaray jersey, and it like too excited, and so as the fans wanting him too much, waiting and for the whole summer, so they just rushed him into play, but he wasn't ready enough. So they said that he has an issue in his Achilles tendon that was not recovered really well before he came into Galatasaray. So that could be the main issue here.
Okay, I'm sure we'll learn more about that as the season progresses. Maybe he'll make a few more appearances. Let's move over to Saturday then, as Konyaspor took on Gençlerbirliği, and this ended in a 1-1 draw. Faruk Mia getting on the score sheet once again for Konyaspor in the 37th minute, tapping into an empty net really after a huge blunder from goalkeeper Ertaç. But in the 4th minute of stoppage time, Yasin Pehlivan equalized for Gençlerbirliği with Röveşata, a bicycle kick, very nicely taken. He was ecstatic, of course, in the celebration. And Burak is going to tell us a little bit more about this match. Did Konya deserve more? Did Gençlerbirliği deserve more? What is your take on it?
Well, looking at the match, I managed to catch the highlights and read a lot of commentary on it. It looked like Konya started off really well. Milicevic was causing a lot of problems. He had a shot come off the post, come off the underside of the crossbar early on. He was attacking the Gençlerbirliği defence quite well and making himself quite a mischief on that left wing that he plays on. And then I think eventually that pressure led to the Konya goal. But the fault is squarely at the feet of Ertaç, as you mentioned earlier on. He decides to kind of come out of his goal for whatever reason. I've got no idea why goalkeepers do this. Maybe they get bored and they want to show that they can actually dribble and try and go past someone. But the ball is lost by Ertaç and it's passed into Faruk Mia, and probably one of the easiest goals he will score all season. It still was from quite a way out, so it wasn't a given, so it wasn't a complete tap, and still had to get it on target and maybe squeeze it past one or two defenders, but still a good finish, and another goal goes against him on his score sheet. And what happened afterwards is pretty much second half, nothing much else happened in the first half of note. Stanku of Gençlerbirliği slalom past two defenders and hit the post with a great shot that probably deserved a goal. To be honest, a really nice bit of football by him there. And then they say kırılma noktası in Turkey. The turning point of the game is Milicevic. That man again nearly makes it 2-0 for Konya. A lovely bit of skill. I think he pirouettes. He does the Marseille roulette, as they call it on FIFA, around a Gençlerbirliği defender and shoots it just over the bar. One of those.
Call it a Zidanneke in Belgium, by the way.
In a what?
A Zidanneke.
All
yeah,
right,
I think that's invented by Zidane as well.
Yeah, but he's from Marseille. That's why they call it the Marseille roulette.
Exactly. I remember when Hakan Şükür did it once. I was like, "What the fuck? What have I just seen? All time has stood still."
I can imagine you just sitting there drinking coffee and certainly going, "What the fuck happened here?"
Everything went everywhere. Yeah, we'll have to find that clip at some point. I think it was in a national team game. But yeah, Milicevic nearly makes it 2-0 for Konya, and if that had gone in, then obviously I think game over personally. Against Schlav hadn't shown a great deal of fight up until then, but then it's 90th minute plus 3, and Konya just go to sleep on a corner. They, for some reason, I mean, if you're a Konyaspor defender, you're not expecting Yasin Pehlivan to pop up with a bloody bicycle kick, are you? In
so much space, though.
So much space, and he was just being watched, and it was probably one of the most tamest bicycle kicks I've ever seen. He was maybe about 6-7 yards from goal, if that, and the ball just fell, as if it had been dropped directly above him, and he just thought, I think I'm gonna, have a go at this one, and pops it in. 1-1. I think Konya would be disappointed to not come away with the 3 points here. Gençler didn't really show a lot of fight that they have done previously. It was pretty much all Konyaspor, I'd say, from an attacking point of view. But it just goes to show you that you have to concentrate for the full length of the match when you're playing football. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, a very average player will score a not so average goal to hurt you. So I think on the base of things, Gençler will be much happier team to come away with that. But Konya showed that they can play a good bit of football there. I think if they can get Milicevic and Faruk Mia linking up together, Milicevic seems quite tricky. Looks like he can put in a decent cross and beat the man. And I think those two can hopefully form a good partnership, and they should be able to, I think, at least finish maybe top half of the table.
The thing that jumps out to me again here is all these goals in added time, and I don't remember exactly. Was it someone on the podcast? Was it maybe Özer or someone who pointed out in one of our first episodes that the Turkish league just has so many goals in the final, past minute 90 basically. I don't remember if it was Özer who pointed that out, if it was one of you guys, or if it was actually, I remember being asked last season or the beginning of this season, I don't remember exactly when it was. I think I was asked about that perhaps by someone who was doing a piece on the Turkish league as well. So it could have been either one of those, but it just keeps on jumping, just jumping into the limelight where there's so many goals in at a time, and I think it happens just a lot more in Turkey than it does in any other top league, so to speak, in Europe. Not saying
happened again tonight.
Yeah, I mean, here against Derby, it happened again tonight, as you said. There was also a very late equalizer last week. Which one was the game tonight? Was it the Kasımpaşa match? No, Kasımpaşa there was 1-2 in the night. So yeah, there's just so many late goals. Lots of in Turkey, you just have so much excitement in that regard. I know you were kind of kicking off yesterday, Burak, at how shit the league is, because you were a little peeved, but I don't know. I think in terms of excitement, the Turkish league just has so much. It's from one side it will be an ecstasy, the other side will be terribly disappointed and pissed off when something like that happens. It seems to happen every weekend in Turkey. I know we saw a spectacular comeback from Liverpool this past weekend in the Premier League too, and that happens in the Premier League, and it happens in every league from time to time. But in Turkey, there's just so many late dramatic goals, it seems.
Well, the Cenk Tosun goal came in the last minutes of extra time as well, didn't it?
7th minute, yeah.
Again, so, what can you do?
What can you
I
do
love
sometimes?
You because I hate you.
That game actually had like 12 minutes of added time, by the way.
Did it? Oh, jeez.
Yeah,
but there was like a penalty too, right, or something? Or a VAR, yeah. Well, anyway, let's move over to Super League football again. Alanyaspor, the leaders in the league, take on Başakşehir, and this was another match that people would look forward to going into this game. The match ended 0-0 though, but it was definitely an exciting game. Mainly one-way traffic though. Umut, Alanyaspor will be kicking themselves after not winning this one for sure.
Yeah, I was expecting at first that Başakşehir would be the better side, but leader Alanya, they dominated the game and made a nightmare for Başakşehir. 22 shots on goal during the game for Alanyaspor, and Cisse and Bakasetas missed a lot of chances, and I like Bakasetas too much. Like, he was the brain of the team from the start of the season, and he couldn't really find the chances he wanted on his left foot. He just took some shots with his right, but it was just disappointing for his talent. And the lead scorer, Papi Cisse, failed to find a net for once, and he just wastes too many chances during the game. Edin Visca was the only threat for Başakşehir during the game, and he just wasted chances, being a bit greedy and selfish. Because the chances were on a tight angle, and he might have crossed them in for his teammates, but he just went on his own and missed those chances. And during the late stages of the game, the forgotten hero, Salih Uçan, got subbed in at 84th minute. And after he just got in, he found a chance inside the 6-yard box, but he headed it over the post, and the match ended 0-0 for both sides, having a point each.
And Efecan continues to impress me with those crosses coming in from the right. He just continues to fight. It's like he does this every match or so. There's one or two situations where Efecan goes on a run on the right, puts it into the far post, and then there's Cisse waiting. And it gets a little predictable at this point, but the cross is always decent quality, it feels like. They got one really good one that Cisse really should have put away here, I think. But how is it possible that nobody can stop Efecan? I mean, he's 30 years old. He's a Turkish international, yes, but never really plays. Only ever played for little old Alanyaspor, really. Yet this guy continues to be one of the most consistent crossers in the league and one of the most consistent contributors to goals as well. I mean, he's been phenomenal for Alanyaspor ever since they came up to the Turkish Super League, really. I mean, he's been there since for 3 seasons now. I think Alanya have been in the league, or 3 or 4, and he's been there the entire time. And other stars have come and gone, but Efecan has been one of the few constants for Alanyaspor. What do you think of him? Is he one of the better crossers in the league at this point?
Yeah, I can say that. We don't really have one of the best crossers in the league, but Ömer Bayram as well did cross the ball really well, and he actually scored the goal in his own because made the guy scores an own goal for the game. And Efecan does this trick for his own team, and he's too agile for a small guy. You know, being small has this advantage. That kind of advantage for the guy. He's too agile, too quick, and you cannot really mark him really easily. So he just gets away easily. And as for Papi Cisse, he's just too mobile inside the box. He just does his trick as an off-the-ball player.
He gets a lot of freedom, though, it seems like. It's like nobody... I mean, you know when you're playing Alanyaspor, the one guy you have to shut down is Papi Cisse, and yet he is always allowed to seeming to find those pockets of space to dive into, and always finds himself unmarked somehow.
I think that's the art of his movement, because he knows where to go and he knows where to find the chances. He just roams around these kind of spaces, and eventually he finds a gap and just uses it.
For sure. So what we conclude from this is Alanyaspor continued to impress in the big games. I really thought they were impressive against Beşiktaş a couple of weeks ago, as I pointed out. I think they were very impressive here. Should always win this. Beşiktaş had a couple of moments, but really Alanyaspor are not really showing signs of letting up in terms of football, but they have dropped quite a few points in recent weeks, or in recent matches, I should say. And that's why the top of the table is as close as it is, which we'll get to later. But let's move over to the first big shock of the weekend. Trabzonspor Göztepe, the Cameron Jerome effect in full effect here, as the only goal of the match falls in the 31st minute through Cameron Jerome, and Göztepe gets their first win on the road in Trabzon against one of the favorites for the title. Yakup, your feelings about this upset?
Well, I'm not happy. I guess that's pretty much self-explanatory. But I'm not happy because of a couple of reasons. First of all, the goal from Cameron Jerome was a really nice one. Ever since I joined the podcast, every time I hear his name, I hear Cameron Jerome effect in my ears and my head. So thanks for that.
Do you want an explanation on that?
I don't know. I really don't. I didn't get the explanation when I joined, so I don't know the explanation. But I guess it has something to do with him being British, and you guys being from there. So
no. He gave. I think he gave a Fener player a death kick last season or something, and ever since Burak has had a little bit of bone to pick with him, so to speak.
Okay, well.
So
he's a massive prick.
Oh, I thought you liked him.
Well, I don't mind him, but Burak has an agenda against him.
Well, all in all, I think it was a game decided by referee mistakes. We talked in the group a little bit. I talked about how I felt about some positions, but you have to give Göztepe a little bit of props. You know, they made the goal and they just defended really well. Trabzonspor was really attacking, but they had some trouble in the back like a couple of times. Hussein, a player that I normally really like, had a really like shaky game. He had some poor defending. I know that a lot of our supporters don't like him because of that. Some days he seems like the next. I'm exaggerating, just to be clear. Sometimes he seems like a Ramos, but the other time it looks like the guy has two left feet. You know, and I think that's the reason why he isn't talked about in the same way that the starters of the national team are talked about.
Do you think it's a coincidence that Trabzon have these shaky defensive matches whenever Ivanildo plays?
Yeah, I think that because Hussein and Hosseini are so used to playing together, and Hosseini is really a really good defender. I do think that isn't talked about enough, you know. And I think that Hosseini just erases some of his mistakes. And with Ivanildo being a pretty young player, and Hussein also being a young player, I think his mistakes just get highlighted a little bit more. You know, I don't think that Ivanildo is a bad defender, to be honest. His first game was a really good one, and after that he had some shaky games also. But the team and the fans are so used to Hosseini being a really good defender and being really good on his feet that every time he gets switched around, there's like a big drop off in quality in defending.
Was there a reason for him getting switched out? Did he have a card suspension or an injury?
I don't know, to be honest, but I'm pretty sure that that is Ünal Karaman going with some. Let me check it just to be sure, but I'm pretty sure it's just. Karaman trying to rotate a little bit. I think
it's an odd decision to if Husseini is your defensive rock, so to speak, your leader at the back. It's very weird to switch him out rather than Hussein.
Yeah, he has some. That is one of the biggest problems with Ünal Karaman at the moment. His rotations don't really seem to make sense. I know that we play in Europe, but the Europe campaign isn't going that well. So I don't know if there is even any point in trying
Maybe
to
he
conserve the
expected
guy.
that Göztepe or one of the weaker sides in the league, you can afford to rest one of your key players, not risk them for injury. But then,
I don't really think that there's a weak team in the league. To be honest, pretty much every team has a great game against us. I remember that Beto had a really great game against us, like last year or the year before that, and he again had a really great one.
Yeah. He's been stumbling all season, and then now he decides to make a couple of world-class saves.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much the par for course. You know, if you're a fan of a big team, that every so often there are some teams that are absolutely horrible on paper, but they play like world beaters against you, and that is what some of the Göztepe players did. Hosseini was on the bench, by the way, so I don't know. I as I said, I think it was a little bit to try and conserve him for the Europa League games. But he has been doing this a lot. He had like 4 different defensive matchups in like the first 5 weeks or something. So I don't know I don't know why he's doing it. It's pretty much I think it's a condition issue. You know, he's trying to rotate so nobody gets tired. But
I understand it with the back since, for example, Pereira is pretty old. But the center backs, it's not something that's not a lot of coaches rotate their center backs constantly. That's not very common.
The thing is, we don't have any backs. You know, we don't have we have Kamil as a right back, but he gets played on the midfield a lot more. And I don't even know if we got a left back. I know that
should have signed Ismail Koybaşı.
No, thanks. I know that Hussein can play left back, and I think that Ivanildo can also, but I don't think it's a good choice to do that.
Yeah,
But
not when you're relying on offensive
yeah,
fullbacks.
because our backs are, in my opinion, our backs are pretty much the top two backs in the league. Not maybe not quality wise, or maybe not the best in technique or whatnot. But if you look at the Trabzonspor game, you can see how much of an impact they both have on the team. And I think that the impact they have, I'm sorry, I think the impact that they have is much bigger than any of the other backs on any other team. But
I think Janner would disagree with that, given the amount of goals he's been involved in and the amount of points he's won with those.
no, you could be right. As I said, it's my opinion, and
not saying he's better, by the way. I'm just saying
no. I get it.
Purely statistically, in terms of goal contribution and all that.
But if you only look at Novak's performance last year, the guy had like 6 goals, and it was more than like 40 of the strikers in the league. And he is a player that likes to go into the attack. Same with Ferreira, and it helps the attacking force, you know.
Novak almost scored here. He almost scored the equalizer with a header here as well. But let's talk about. You spoke about referee errors. Let's highlight the controversial positions here, and then let's throw to our man of the law and let him have his say on those positions.
Yeah, there were like 2 big ones. One of them was a position by Cameron Jerome. So I like to be part of the group that hates him now. He had a pretty awful stamp on Sosa's foot, and I don't understand how that didn't get notified. You know, how that didn't get noticed by VAR. In my opinion, it was a red card because the guy just. It didn't really look like he went for the ball. And,
it's one of those things where it's like he's going for the ball, but he's like a little late, like Quaresma last week, where, you know, when we spoke about it last week, when you clip someone's foot when the ball has just left the guy's foot like a fraction of a second before, that's understandable.
Yeah, that's something different.
Yeah. So, man of the law, what did you think of Cameron Jerome? And please not let your bias against Cameron not filter in here.
I would never let that happen. I am a man of the law, and I am a professional.
That said, this piece of shit should have gotten sent off.
But in saying that, I think it should have been a red, because I'm watching I saw it at the time and that night and all over Twitter by Trabzonspor fans, and I'm looking at it again now. Slow down, of course, at the moment, because that's
always misleading. The slowing down is always a dangerous thing. Yeah.
But you can see, you know, Sosa is going for the ball. So he's going for it with his right foot. He's going to try and play it, and Cameron Jerome is coming in at the same time. And the right foot of Cameron Jerome lands plumb, I'd say, just above or on the ankle of Sosa. And that is dangerous play. It doesn't matter if Sosa has actually got to the ball a little bit quicker and, you know, nipped the ball away, and then Cameron's gone in, because he's already committed the Chiller challenge. So even if it is deemed accidental, I'm making those air quotation marks like one of those douchebags right now. Even if it is deemed accidental late, it's still dangerous play. It's still above the ankle or plumb on the ankle, and it's a potential ankle breaker, as we saw with the unfortunate Andre Gomez. But this past weekend, who we send our best wishes to.
Remember what I said, though? It's better to step on someone's ankle than on someone's shin, because an ankle has give to it.
That is very true, but when you do see it slow down the way that. I mean, Sosa's. I don't actually know. Did he come off injured, or did he manage to play on?
No, he played on.
Because obviously he's been doing some kind of ankle exercises in the gym, proprioception, whatever. And I hope he went to go and see his osteopath afterwards, because the ankle really did. You know, they can go either way. That's either a swelling and a bruising, and you're out for a few weeks, potential snap. He's just very lucky that it wasn't worse than what it was. And the Cameron Jerome effect, it did it last season against Fenerbahce. He's doing it this season against Trabzon, and next season it will be either against Galatasaray or Beşiktaş if he hasn't been chased out of the country by Trabzon and Fener fans. But yes, that's for me. That's a red. It's too high up the ankle and it's dangerous. I don't know how that has not been caught. That's why VAR is here for those 4 situations. Was it penalties, offsides, handballs, and red cards? And again, it's a VAR failure. One of the many that we saw this year.
I think it's. I'm always trying to look for an explanation of why there was no VAR call. I think it's just, they're always speaking of the clear error, and I think when it's a ball like this where it's not quite high enough, the foot is not quite high enough, I think the VAR, the refs in the VAR room probably just think, well, it's up to the referee's interpretation or something. But I don't know. I definitely think this could have gotten called and could have gotten a red card. So yeah, let's move on to the next position. Yakup, please.
The second one was a little bit more discussed also in the group. It was like a penalty position for Sørloth, and the Göztepe player stood on his foot. He touched his foot. I think I do think that this was a penalty, but I'm also of the opinion that because beIN Sports also shows the highlight in slow motion, and in slow motion everything looks much worse. But it does look like he impeded his progress. He really put his foot against Sørloth's foot, which made him go down. So in my opinion, this was also a penalty. And this one, I really don't understand how a situation like this that happens in the box in a game that's 1-0 at the moment. How can it be that the VAR just doesn't call the ref and tells him to
to be clear, I mean,
VAR, to be clear, just look at it,
VAR doesn't mean it's a penalty because VAR calls him, but yeah, I agree with you. I think when there's situations like this, where personally, I kind of had the feeling like Sørloth was looking for it, if you know what I mean. Like he was looking, because if you look how he touches the ball past the man, it goes way too far and stuff like that. Maybe that had an impact on the decision as well. But I kind of had the feeling like he was looking for the contact. But let's throw it to the man of the law. What's your opinion on this position?
Again, sorry about the cough there, gentlemen. But watching the position, I think you're right in that Sørloth is definitely looking for the penalty. And a lot of players do that. They try and instigate contact, or they try and get the contact there. But in this instance, what Sørloth is doing, to me, he's taking a ball with the outside of his left foot, trying to push it past the Göztepe defender, who then just comes in and just kicks his foot. So with the Göztepe player's left foot comes and kicks Sørloth's left foot because Sørloth has moved the ball away. And if you throw back to the Fenerbahce Beşiktaş game last season, the 3-3, you look at the penalty that Hasan Ali gave away. Now, his foot was a little bit higher, but it was essentially the same situation. The Beşiktaş player who he fouled, I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been Gökhan, right? Now, Gökhan moves the ball away, so he outfoxes. He's a little bit quicker than Hasan Ali, so the ball has moved away from his foot, and Hasan Ali comes in on Gökhan's foot, and that's given us a penalty. Now, the impact is the same with the Sørloth situation. In Gökhan's situation, I think the Hasan Ali's foot was a little bit higher, but should the height of the foot make a difference? Now, Sørloth does go down rather acrobatically. It's almost like he's taken a Ricky Dragon Steamboat arm drag, the way he flips and falls down. So maybe
reference two people will understand.
Indeed. So maybe for the Idonus thought, do you know what? If you hadn't gone down so acrobatically, I maybe would have given it. But if you're looking at it, I think blinkered, black and white, you compare it to Hasan Ali Gökhan Gönül from last season. For me, that should be a penalty.
And I agree with Yakup in the sense that look, why don't you just call the ref over? I do understand if you call the ref over, you're putting a lot of pressure on the referee in this situation because it's Trabzonspor, it's at home, they're 1-0 down towards the end of the match. If you call over that referee and he doesn't give a penalty, he's gonna get a shitstorm over him. But he's getting a shitstorm over him now too. So
yeah.
I mean, I think these types of positions, they definitely should get... What I think should happen and would help VAR tremendously is have referees explain afterwards why they made certain decisions. In Holland, they do that. They have this little VAR segment after every match day.
And it's so great, you know, being from the Netherlands. It's pretty weird to see the referees being so open here. You know, in Turkey it feels like referees are like hated by the mass, but it's not like that. They are not like they are loved here. But you know, as long as when you got a big time referee like Danny Macaulay going on air and saying like, this is what happened, this is why I did that, you, even if you don't agree with him, you kind of go like, okay, I can kind of see what he's going for or what his reasoning was. And I don't think that I don't see that happening in Turkey, because the referees in Turkey are just a whole different thing. You know, they are all like big characters. This game we had Fırat Aydınus, and I just hate the man because of, you know, his theatrical,
arrogant
he's like
piece
the
of shit.
Patriterium of the refs. You know, he's trying his best to be on camera, and I don't.
Yeah,
think that...
when he finished the match, the way he just gestures with his arms, it's like, I know the camera is on me right now, and like a ballet dancer, it's like, or like a, you know, like a, what are the people called, the ice skaters, you know, with all the schwung that you can give to it. I mean, I swear to God.
Sorry, can you just say that again, please, Kaan? The what?
The schwung.
Amazing.
I had to explain that word to Sinan last
high
year
quality sound effects.
Isn't the Nike emblem called a schwung or something too? Or
swoosh.
A swoosh.
Swoosh.
Right, a swoosh. Right. Anyway, I do agree with you, Yakup. I think he's not the worst ref in terms of, but he's just such an arrogant prick.
Yeah, I'm just to be clear, I'm not saying he's a bad ref. I'm not saying he's a good ref either. But like his mannerisms, the way he, you know, the way he is on the pitch, and the way he talks to players, the way I think he's like I think he tries to go for like a Pierluigi Collina like thing, but it, you know, when it's Turk, you're going just like, dude, just fuck off, just do your job and don't be a dick about it, you know.
So conclusion, potential penalty for Trabzonspor that should have gone to VAR, and red card. So I think we can agree with Yakup that Trabzonspor definitely got dealt a hard blow here in terms of refereeal consistency.
Yeah, I do think that we didn't play bad, you know. We could have won. It's unfortunate Beto had a real good game.
It was just one of those matches where the ball just didn't want to go in.
Yeah,
now, when
Novak missed one. Koray played, I think. He missed one.
Koray had a good header saved by Beto.
There's one part, though, that I want to talk about a little bit. Avdijaj got booed when he went off the pitch. I don't like that. You know, I have to say I'm not the biggest fan of him. I heard a lot of good things about him, but ever since he came to us, he hasn't, you know, he hasn't played to what he's supposedly worth.
But how old is he? Like 20 years old, 19 years old? You can see that he's talented.
He isn't that young, but he's pretty young. He's 23 years old.
Oh, okay.
But you know, I hate it when it happens to any player. I to be honest, I loved it when it happened to Burak, because fuck Burak. But you know, to see it happen to a guy.
Hey. Oh, not me.
No, not you. The dickhead that plays at Beşiktaş. But you know, I don't. The guy is really trying his best. It just doesn't really gel at the moment.
He had a good attempt, I felt.
Yeah, he had one really good attempt that didn't get. He like Beto kicked it away. He didn't even caught it. He didn't even catch it. He just kicked it for some weird reason. But you know, we have to stop with that shit. Like young players are really like easily easily messed up by stuff like this. And I know that you
Yep.
can blame it on passionate fans, but I don't.
Yeah.
I fuck off,
Turkish
just be a
fans are way
fan.
too toxic. We were always Turkish fans are always talking about, oh, our team should invest in young players and this and blah and blah and blah. But then when a young player plays and he doesn't perform, they immediately turn it on him. After two or three bad games, and they turn on him. It doesn't even take that long.
I
And
mean, I remember our fans doing this with Yusuf Yazıcı like last year or the year before that. I just come on, it's the players are trying their best, and if you keep doing shit like that, it only damages. Nobody at a certain point, a player is going to stop being, I'm putting air quotes, being to be, you know I can't get the word, so I just can't
Motivated?
get the word. um they won't be, they won't be helped by that. They won't get more motivated or anything.
Yeah, no, of course not.
They,
I mean,
like, after a certain point, they'll get demotivated,
demotivated.
and after that he's gone. It's hard to get a
Yeah.
player back after, especially a young player, if he just doesn't have um any skill left because of all the fans just fucking booing him every time.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that with Jermaine Lens, for example. I'm surprised he still puts in the effort he does every time he plays, because how he's been treated by, Güneş, the fans. Yeah, I'm impressed, really. But, like, for example, like, we'll get to it later, but, like, he misses an opportunity and one-on-one with the goalkeeper. And yeah, of course, he's a professional player. He should be able to score. But it's football, and there's also a goalkeeper there. You have to beat the goalkeeper. That's a factor. They're there with a reason. So, I often feel like when a goalkeeper makes a good save, it's a good save. Not saying that that's the case with Lens here, but for example, with Abdijayesh, I really felt like Beto made a really good save there. And I don't think you can put that on the player that fails to score in that position. I think there's positions where you can definitely blame a player, blame. You can be angry at a player for not putting an opportunity away, for example, like missing in front of an open goal or something like that. That's a different thing. But if you put in a decent effort and the goalkeeper makes a good save, yeah, that's not a reason to turn on a player. And I think there are moments where it's deserving for players that you turn on them. Like, let me think. Who? There's.
Oh wow, what's that?
I don't know.
I'll
Echo.
give you an example. We had Arda at 2016
Yeah.
European Championship game against Spain, which I was at. Crazy times.
Yeah, he deserved it. So there are moments where players deserve to get booed, but they're very rare and definitely not common, like you would think in Turkey, where it happens way too often. But yeah, shock defeat. Trabzonspor lose against one of the bottom teams in the league at home. Not a good piece of business for them after also losing 2 points last week. So 2 weeks in a row, Trabzonspor failed to win. Let's move over to the next one. Antalyaspor Beşiktaş. This match ended 1-2. It was Beşiktaş's first win all season on the road. Goals here coming from Domagoj Vida in the 9th minute and Abdoulaye Diaby in the 11th minute to make it 2-0. But Paul Mukairo pulled one back in the 52nd minute to make it 1-2 and give Beşiktaş a little bit of jitters. Really good start from Beşiktaş, really good first half. Beşiktaş should have been 3-4, 5-0 up at halftime. But in the second half, they escaped because Loris Karius made an amazing save 3 or so minutes from full time, and then also Gökhan Gönül put a good opportunity into corner later on. So Beşiktaş in the second half could have given it away, but it's the first time I felt that Beşiktaş looked decent on the road, created a lot of chances. I think Beşiktaş have created more chances in their last 2 matches here against Antalyaspor and last week against Galatasaray that they did all season. And I don't even think I'm exaggerating. I think they had like 4 or 5 clear-cut chances last week. They had 6 maybe this week. I don't know, that's like 11 or so chances in 2 games, whereas I honestly can't really think of the clear-cut goal-scoring opportunities they created in the previous 8 games in the league. So Beşiktaş definitely improving a little bit. Switched their formation to 4-2-3-1. Finally, formation switch, which Umut was talking about earlier as well. Galatasaray should consider switching to 4-4-2 according to Umut. Beşiktaş have finally switched their formation. It does seem to be paying off now. They have players returning from injuries. Victor Ruiz was back here. Caner Erkin was missing due to suspension. But apart from Burak, who was on the bench, and George Kevin Okudu, who was still injured, I think they pretty much have everyone back, except, of course, Dorukhan, who's out long-term. So Beşiktaş slowly returning to full force, and back-to-back wins for them now. And who would have thunk it? But at the end of the day, they are only 4 points behind on the league leaders right now. And who would have expected that a couple of weeks ago with their dramatic start to the season? Just thinking if there's any big controversies in this match. I think there was a clear red card that should have been given to... What's that Antalyaspor defender's name? He should have gotten a yellow card, and he already was on a yellow because he elbowed Umut, but he didn't get a yellow. And I think there was a position too where Umut should have gotten a second yellow card in the second half. So Cüneyt Çakır lenient on both an Antalya and a Beşiktaş player in this match, not giving them a second yellow card. I think both of those warranted yellows. Apart from that, there were a couple of penalty shouts, one in particular from Nazım Sangare, but that fall happened outside the box. And I just felt like Nazım was a little floppy in this match. He was looking for a penalty early in the first half too, but he had a really good game. Was probably Antalyaspor's best player alongside Mukairu. Beşiktaş got their first win on the road, as we have pointed out. Galatasaray only have one win on the road too, and as we'll get to later, Fenerbahçe only have 2. So it's really, this season is so exciting, but also weird in a way, because the big teams just are struggling so much on the road, it seems like. And Beşiktaş here with their first win against Antalyaspor that lost 2 weeks ago, 6-0 at home against Gençlerbirliği of all teams. So 3 points are 3 points, but Beşiktaş need to take it match by match. Next up for them is Denizlispor at home, so that's another opportunity at 3 points, I think, for them. But Beşiktaş slowly but surely maybe getting into it a little bit. Burak, do you think that they'll be closing into the top 3 towards the end of the first half of the season, or is this just a temporarily spike in their form and will it drop down again?
It's hard to tell, because they... you said it was a horror start, and you can see why. It's a new manager, a few new players, a new style of football, and Beşiktaş have not played the best football under Şenol Güneş for the past 2 seasons, after their 2 seasons of playing absolutely brilliant. So, but at the heart of it, Abdullah Avcı, I think, is a good coach. So I'm not sure if his system is unable to be implemented by the players because they're not of the caliber that can perform what he wants them to do on the pitch. There doesn't seem to be a massive, disharmony within the camp from what you can see from the outside, not like with other teams, sort of Galatasaray in particular. But now you've just got a new chairman, of course, and you thought that may have ruffled the feathers a little bit. So it's really hard to say, but I don't want to be Switzerland and sit on the fence with this thing. So I think I'm going to say yes. I think these back-to-back, obviously the Derby win and this win here. I think, like we've talked about, football is a massive confidence game, and I think the confidence of having back-to-back victories is going to help lift Beşiktaş up the table. So, answer to your question, Kaan, where did I get Umut from? What's Umut doing in the background? I've got Umut on the brain. What a horrible thought. In answer to your question, Kaan, I think Beşiktaş are going to be knocking on the door of the top 3 towards the winter break. Whether they'll be in the top 3 or not, I don't know, but I think they'll definitely be there or thereabouts within a few points.
Yeah, and I think the schedule is important as well. They have the Denizlispor coming up, they have Kayserispor coming up. I think the toughest games they still have are Fenerbahce and Malatyaspor. But apart from that, on paper, they have relatively easy matches. But, of course, as we know, there are no easy matches in the Turkish league. So let's move on. Not much left to say on this. I think Beşiktaş gets 3 points and have now 10 out of their last 4 matches. So 10 points out of a potential 12. Let's move over to Sunday. Denizlispor, speaking of the Devils, played at home against Sivasspor, another team that has been impressing this season. And Denizlispor lose at home against Rize Çalınbay's Sivasspor 0-2. Goals here coming from Hakan Arslan in the 41st minute and Aruna Kone in the 91st minute, the first minute of stoppage time, to make it 2 for Sivasspor. And they get 3 points. And Umut is going to tell us a little bit more about this game.
Sivasspor were the better side, even though it was an away game from them. Denizlispor found some certain chances from their pacey winger, Barrow, and old Olcay Şahan with his unexpected passes through opposition defense. I rate Olcay Şahan for that, to be honest. He's not a great dribbler or a talent, but he usually knows what to do in certain occasions. When you need a chance created, he will help you with 1-2s or some quick passes, direct passes to his teammates. But even he couldn't help Denizlispor during this game with this kind of strong Sivasspor side. The determination and endurance of Sivasspor side is the thing that differs them from the other Anatolian sides this year, I believe. And again, Emre Kılınç was the guy creating most of the chances for the away side during the game. He hit the post and made an assist to good old Aruna Kone as he was making that Samuel Eto'o's old man celebration after scoring the second goal at 91st minute. He's getting old, becoming a great sub for Sivasspor lately. Not the first choice, but Yatabare being the first choice, playing good recently and has the energy to drain the opposition center backs during the game. And Aruna Kone gets in there to finish the job at the late times in the game. And as I mentioned previously in some episodes ago, Erdoğan Yeşilyurt and Mert Hakan Yandaş are the unsung heroes for Sivasspor, to be honest. The youngsters are doing a great job for the team, both offensively and defensively. I think that shows why Sivasspor is now the second on the table and doing really great.
Yeah, and I'm curious about that remark you made about Aruna Kone getting older. Did he just celebrate with? Did you see a celebration?
Yeah.
Did he act like he was an old man with a crutch?
Yes, he did. That's the Samuel Eto'o's celebration when he was at Chelsea as an answer to respond to Jose Mourinho.
Right. I thought that was pretty funny. No, but the thing I'm curious, what are your guys' thoughts on Denizlispor? Of course, on the opening match day, they beat Galatasaray 2-0. And they've had a couple of good games and good results, but they seem very inconsistent. Are they going to be struggling this season? What do you think?
I think these kind of teams that rely on the pacey wingers and just individual talents are just having this fate on the long run, because when you close them up, the pacey wingers and the just talent players like Recep Niyaz, they have. So when you close them up, you just close all the doors they have for the win. Certainly.
What do you think, Burak? Are Denizlispor going to be fighting relegation?
I think they'll be there or thereabouts. I think they need to really focus on trying to keep Hugo Rodallega fit and feeding him. He's almost got that Pape Cisse-like quality whereby he'll get 10 chances and maybe put away 4 or 5 of them. But I think he's their key, I think, to staying up. Definitely. So I think if he goes injured for a long period of time, they're going to be in a lot of trouble, because I don't see anywhere else where they're going to get as much of a source of goals from like they will from Hugo. And also, I think they just need to improve their home form. I think on the road is always going to be a bit of a struggle for them. We definitely struggled against them coming away with the win. So I think as long as they can work hard at home and trying to win as many games against the teams that are around them in the table, then they'll have a chance of staying up. But I think they're going to be in and around that bottom 5 or 6 all season.
Yeah, and Sivasspor, of course, like we said, are impressing. They're currently second in the standings. And let's move over to number 3 in the standings, almost number 1. Malatyaspor played away at Kasımpaşa and got a 2-2 draw away from home. Bengali Koita here opening the scoreline, putting Kasımpaşa in front in the 13th minute, but Adis Yahovic equalized in the 63rd minute. It was initially ruled offside, but VAR interjected and it was onside, so the goal stood. And this is where VAR comes in and where it's clear and why it's good. But then we have so many examples of why it's not good. VAR definitely has a place in football, but they need to tweak stuff. They need to be more clear about stuff. These types of situations here, Yahovic's goal, are the reason why VAR exists in football, I feel like, and why we need it. But we'll get to some other stuff later again, I guess. But then Veysel Sarı, a couple of minutes later, 5 minutes later, after the equalizer, scored an own goal and put Malatyaspor 1-2 ahead. So then you think Malatyaspor have this in the bag. But in the 77th minute, Robin Yalçın saw his second yellow card and got ejected. Sergen Yalçın, the coach of Malatyaspor, also got ejected by the referee. He was initially yellow carded, but kept mouthing off and was sent to the stands. And then in the 3rd minute of stoppage time, Abdulrahman Khalili equalized and got a point, salvaged a point for Kasımpaşa. And Yakup, it was deserved, was it not? Kasımpaşa were the better team overall?
Yeah, in my opinion, especially the first half, Kasımpaşa was much better. It was nice to see players like Pektemek doing well. You know, Pektemek had one bicycle kick that the keeper caught, and he has always been a player that I had a lot of.
That's not a bicycle kick. That's just a volley.
Yeah, volley. Then he's always been a player that I had a lot of sympathy for, because it seems like the moment like a raindrop landed on his arm went, and the moment the wind blew on his knee went. You know, so it's good to see him actually play. You know, I hope he keeps his form. I actually quite liked Quaresma. I'm being probably a guy that watches too many Beşiktaş games. I remember being really annoyed by him, especially last year and the year before. He has good games, but you know, on the pitch, he messes up so many more things than he does well. So it was nice to see him play really good. You know, I think playing at a team like Kasımpaşa, where there isn't a lot of pressure like there was in Beşiktaş, is pretty good for him. You know, he can play the way he wants without having a shit ton of fans talking shit about him online. I have to say the VAR has again shown his worth. It really looked. I don't know if the line was good or drawn nicely, because it really looked like there was maybe like 2 millimeters of difference between Yahovic and the Kasımpaşa defenders. But whatever they say, it seems to be. It seems to be correct. The second goal was an unfortunate own goal. You said it was Veysel Sarı, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really weird to see the guy, because I remember him being, you know, really well. I can't believe he used to play for Galatasaray, to be honest. And to see him play for a team like Kasımpaşa, and his form seems to be dropping harder and harder, like with every year. It's awful for him to have such an unfortunate own goal, but
he's a little bit of a controversial player.
Yeah, the players.
He's done weird stuff in his career that would suggest certain malafide praktijken.
Well, I'm not the police, so I don't really mind as long as he doesn't play for us. I'm good with anything. But the second yellow for Robin Yalchin. I found it a unfortunate one. You could see that there was really no intention of going for the guy's foot. He had the ball first, and it was really unfortunate for Robin. But yeah, it was a correct yellow. He did stamp on his foot, and it was nice to see Segen lose his shit. I like the guy. I like the guy a lot, and I hope that he gets to Beşiktaş. Maybe not immediately. I do think that Auge needs to have a little bit more time to maybe righten the ship. But I can't wait to see his antics in a bigger team. At the end of the day, Koita had a great game, nice goals. Kasımpaşa did deserve it more, so Malatyaspor earned the 1 point, and Kasımpaşa lost 2.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your analysis, Yakup. Let's move over to the next match. I don't think there's anything that we need to mention here anymore in terms of controversial positions or anything. It was all pretty straightforward, apart from maybe the yellow. But, I mean, yellow is understandable, and it's just unfortunate that he was already on a yellow card. Let's move over to that other shocker of matchday 10, Kayserispor Fenerbahçe. We headed into this match, everyone I think was expecting Fener to get a win here after Trabzonspor slipped up, after Alanyaspor dropped 2 more points. Everyone was expecting Fenerbahçe to get the win and to become the new league leaders. And honestly, it looked like there wasn't anything going to go wrong here, up until the 58th minute when Umut Bulut put Kayserispor 1-0 up against Fenerbahçe, and that would be the final scoreline too, despite Fener repeatedly hammering on the door, hitting the woodwork a couple of times. A very frustrating evening for Fenerbahçe and for Burak, I'm sure. But Burak, let's have your thoughts on this game, please.
Well, you say it seemed to be going okay up until the 58th minute when Umut scored, but before then you could just see the signs were there in the classic case of atamayana atarlar, which, for those of you who don't speak Turkish and listen, it loosely translates as, if you don't take your chances, then you're fucked. Pretty much mean, if you don't take your chances, the other team will score, which is what they did here. We had Gary Rodriguez proving that he needs to either work on his finishing in training, or he should only ever shoot from 35 yards and not 10 yards, because he just hasn't got his technique. He just didn't have any technique. He had 2 clear chances, which he wasted woefully on the night. We had Victor Moses give the bar an absolute rattle. We had Luis Gustavo give the bar a rattle. You had Vedat Muric in his header that was either saved or pushed onto the bar by Lung. Is it the goalkeeper's name? Have I got that right? The
Silvio Lung, yes.
Silvio Lung, and that happened there, and it was an unchanged 11 from last week. Max Kruse is still out injured, so we had the midfield trio of Ozan, Luis Gustavo, and Emre. And I was trying to figure out, as I was watching the game, what type of midfield 3 they were. Still trying to decide if it was a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1. It looked more like a 4-2-3-1 at times to me, with Gary Rodriguez and Victor on the wings, and the team were playing well. They were really attacking, knocking on the door. But it's just one of those days at the office where you feel like it's just not gonna go your way when you're seeing your shots come back off the bar, and when you're seeing your players not finish and take their chances. I think Ozan played really well. He showed a lot of strength. Kayseri are just absolutely filthy bastards, completely, just kicking our players all over the shop. In the 2 games that we played them last year, again, they were just really rough and ready affairs. You had Victor Moses that was body checked, could have been knocked unconscious, no yellow card. You had Shamil. I thank fuck he's finally shaved his head. He looked like he had a decomposed rat on there. He got sent off last season for stamping on Egid's foot, and oh no, he didn't. He got sent. Sharma was sent off out Kadako for stamping on Elif when he was on the floor. He also stamped on Egid's foot in the game at Kayseri and didn't get anything for that. And that came after the game here. The lead up to Kayserispor's goal, Levent Gülen literally used Vedat Muric as a step ladder, trying to step up. He was all over him on his back. It looked like he was asking for a piggyback to be carried off, but no foul given. And from there, Kayseri go on and score. And then we had 3 penalty claims for Fener, which weren't given. You had the initial one where Vedat has his knee kicked by Abdinur in the box, and you're looking at that thinking, okay, Abdinur he's come from behind and kicked Vedat's knee, and maybe Vedat has gone down a little bit theatrically. So Arda Kardeşler was like, no VAR review. I'm not going to go for an
Didn't
off-field.
he just kick the ball though? I've watched that position like a lot of times, and every single he seems to kick the ball.
Oh no,
did he knee his knee? Because his foot goes to the ball. When his foot is not on knee height. So how did he?
So he comes from he's behind Vedat, and I don't know his foot.
And Vedat is like turning, right?
No, Vedat's not turning. He's still.
Isn't he turning to looking for a shot?
Well, let me replay the situation. Okay, so the ball comes in and Vedat plants his right foot. He goes to swivel and use his left foot to go and hit the ball, but you can see quite clearly that Abdinur's foot hits his left knee as he swings. Now, whether he gets any of the ball or not, I've not been able to tell that by watching it in the slow motion, but that's what VAR is for. It's there to help the referee make a decision. But if we park that to one side, we're like, okay, maybe that happened a bit quickly. Abdinur got a bit on the ball, and Vedat has maybe gone down a bit theatrically. So, okay, I'm okay with that. You've then got the instant where Vedat goes to head the ball, towards goal, and Levent Gülen has got his arm up, is pretty much shoulder height, and that is making his body bigger. It's not a natural position to walk around with your arm up, shoulder height, and the ball comes back off Levent Gülen's arm. And
but isn't his arm in front of his body? So if you hack the arm off, doesn't it just go against his chest?
No, this is the arm is actually outstretched, so it's a natural reaction to lift your arm up, which I totally understand. But
I'm just trying to think of the position again.
But the new law says that that's a penalty.
Protecting your face doesn't matter anymore. That's true.
So you've got that, and if you look at you're like, okay, what's happened here is Vedat's gone to head the ball, and the guy has reacted instantly. Maybe Arda Kardeşler has thought, do you know what? I know Vedat had his knee kicked earlier. He's now headed the ball against Levent Gülen's arm. It's Vedat's fault for having such a big, strong Kosovo on the forehead. I'm not gonna give that penalty. Let's leave that one. And you're like, okay, Arda Kardeşler, that's okay. And then you have.
Yeah, I'm looking at the position right now. So he heads it. Yeah, you're right. Oh, yeah.
So, again, VAR is there to help the referee. To say, excuse me, Arda, I think you should have a look at this, potential case of a penalty. No, nothing, again. So you're thinking, okay, that's 2. And then the third one.
I think it hits his shoulder.
No, I think it's definite forearm. It's the between the elbow and the forearm it hits. And for me, penalty. That one is maybe if the first one is, not as much. And then the third one is where Tolga Ciğerci, which I didn't understand that substitution, by the way. I think we should have brought on a more attacking substitution than Tolga Ciğerci if you're chasing a game. Someone like a Michal Zajc who could get forward. But anyway, that's Alisson, and I don't think he made the subs that I would have chosen to make. But you've got Tolga Ciğerci down the wing, crosses the ball in, and as Yasir is jumping and turning around, it hits his arm again, and that is pretty much almost a carbon copy of the penalty that Galatasaray got against Denizli, and it's similar to the penalty that Gazişehir got tonight against Ankaragücü. So
yeah, the Gazişehir one, there is definite movement for the ball though. With that one, that was like, I definitely think that one was crystal clear. This one, it's one of those.
If you go by the law, and as we know, gentlemen and listeners, I'm a man of the law. That is a Stonewall penalty, clear as day. So we've had 3 penalties not given. In my opinion,
I get the Vedat one not getting given. Honestly, I'm just looking at it and slowing it down every time, and I think it hits him regardless of if arm being. I think it hits his shoulder, or like his armpits, kind of. I don't know.
Well, see, that's the thing. Even if you can't decide right now,
yeah, definitely, I agree. This is another case of he should have been called and he should have checked it.
Like
and then
on
he can
field,
still decide. Yeah. Like I get not giving this, but I don't understand. I don't understand why he doesn't get called over.
Use the technology to do an on-field review, and if you then decide it's not a penalty, then at least we can say, well, you've gone to VAR and you decided not to give it. Another incident, Levent Gülen probably should have got sent off for a high tackle on Vedat's knee as well in the match. A little bit like, I'm trying to think what happened. I think it's almost a little bit like maybe what Elif Elmas got sent off for last year. I think against maybe Ümraniye for high tackle. But that man Levent Gülen, he's involved in a lot of incidents. He's the incident man of the game. The penalty from the Vedat header, fouling Vedat before Kayserispor went on and scored, and then the challenge where he just launches into Vedat's knee. Now again, seeing it in slow motion makes it a lot worse than it is. I'm not sure if it was captured at the time, but again, VAR is supposed to be used for red cards, right? So again, you've got Vedat potentially taking a tackle that could be potential injury, and that's not being checked. But the team's performance was still was good. I can't say that I was really disappointed that we didn't come out and perform. I'm really disappointed in our finishing, especially with Gary. Like I said, the man can score you an absolute worldie from like 25, 30 yards, but again, in crucial positions, he should have squared it at one point, and he went for a shot and missed. And then he had another 2 shots. The first one was where it pinged around the box, and he lashed at it with his left foot, and it went past the post.
He's not a very composed finisher. I think it's a typical type of player where, like you said, he can score a screamer from 25, 30 yards out, but when he's one-on-one with the goalkeeper, that's usually, or when he's in the box, that's usually when he's not composed enough, not calm enough, and you see that a lot with, for example, a Jermaine Lens. Ricardo Quaresma has that too. But let's get back to the controversial positions. There was one more for sure, I think, and there was also a couple of penalty shots for Kayserispor, I think, 1 or 2. But then right towards the end, there's this position with Altay where he catches the ball, and I don't know who it is, which of the Kayserispor players it was. And when I watched this first, I was like, oh wait, did he just knee him? But then my first inclination was, nah, Altay is not that type of player. And I watched the replay live, and I was like, oh wait, that was just a natural running movement. He just did that with his left leg. But then when I watched the replay again today, I actually noticed that's because of the blurriness of the colors and whatever. But I noticed it was actually his right leg, and he actually lifted his knee up, and that was not a natural movement. I felt like that is also a position that could have gone to VAR.
He should have gone to VAR, and I think he should have been sent off because this is at the end of the match, and we've been frustrated all game.
Yeah, of course.
With Kayseri just playing butcher football, absolute. They're played their absolute hearts out. You will not see them play that well again this season. They played as if someone had kidnapped their family. Definitely. I've never seen Emmanuel Adebayor run so much in my life. I don't know how much or what happened to come over him. I should take it as a compliment that they celebrated beating Fenerbahce like they just won the Champions League final. But,
maybe they got all offered vacations in Alanya.
I don't know, but I just hope they can enjoy obscurity for the rest of the season, pricks. Yeah. But yeah, so the end of the game, and what Altay's done, he's caught the ball, and he wants to start the game quickly. So he wants to pass the ball out, and the Kayseri
guy's hindering him.
Yeah, I don't know who it is. He's grabbing him as if they want to do like a little ballroom dance. So Altay's like, just get out the way, and just loses his head and lifts his right leg into his balls. I hope that the guy can never have any more children, and I'd like to applaud Altay for doing that, because it turns out this is how you need to play Kayserispor. You just need to kick the fuckers, because they are a dirty bunch of pitches. 3 games that we've played them in, all 3 games they've just been dirty. They've they've spat, they've kicked and crawled. So you just need to match fire with fire. So that's why I was quite happy when I saw Emre cussing out one of their players on the pitch, because I thought this is the type of fire you need.
Yeah, that thing went viral, right? And he said something along. I think the people thought he said "I fuck your wife," but it sounded more like "I fuck your life." Or something,
something like that. There was a journalist that
was really weird,
misquoted it online, and he was soon put in his place.
But whether you say "I fuck your wife" or "I fuck your life," it's both pretty bad. I mean, "I fuck your wife" is bad, but "I fuck your life" is more like a threat. It's like, I'm gonna.
How
fuck
does
your
he know
life
the guy is married? By the way,
what did he say? Did he say life or wife, or what did he say?
The jury is still out. No one knows, because everyone interprets it how they want to interpret it.
I don't know which one is worse. I honestly don't know.
They're both as bad as each other, but it's good to see the passion from the captain stepping up to.
But that was really early in the game, wasn't it?
Really?
Wasn't that like the first half or something when nothing was wrong yet?
No, Kayseri are still, being bitches and just, playing that rough style of football. So you need to give it back. It's like when Troy Deeney went on Sky Sports and said, you just need to rough Arsenal up, give one of them a whack, and that you can beat them, have some cojones. And that's what Emre was showing, cojones. He's hated by the rest of the Super League fans. You can all go.
I could only laugh.
Exactly. And I was like, yes, this is like the spirit we're missing. And it would have been nice to have seen Gustavo maybe get involved a little bit more in the game. Maybe seeing him just perform some body checks like Kayseri performed on us last season, and see some of their players writhing around on the floor in pain. And before we get to the other situations, I just will say that our substitutions were just uninspired. I think you got Dennis Turc came on, and he just couldn't cross a ball to save his life. This game, later on, it turned out that his wife has had their second baby, so maybe he didn't. He had other things on his mind, and maybe it wasn't right to bring him in. But congratulations to Dennis Turc's wife and new baby girl.
I thought they already had 2 kids.
He had another kid today.
Yeah, I thought they had 2 already.
Or he's had another one. I've lost count.
Well, I might be right. I might be wrong, though. I thought he had 2 kids already.
Let's just say his wife has had a brand new baby girl.
Yeah.
There we go.
I'll edit that.
Yeah, there you go.
No, I won't.
And exactly. And then Emre came off in the 70th minute, and Tolga Ciğerci came on. Now he's played well this season when he's come on. He's been that lump, that rock. He's had a few moments where he can go past people, scored a few goals. But in that situation, you're 1-0 down away, and I would have gone for a more attacking substitution at that point. You had people like Dindjer on the bench, Zeitz on the bench. Alper Potuk's on the bench, but he can stay on the bench. This isn't the type of game for him to come on and just get kicked about. And then Mevlut came on 77th minute and was just a passenger. Didn't see him do anything.
Yeah, but that makes sense, right? You need a goal if you put it on an extra striker.
Exactly.
Hope he pops up in the box. So
Zankarov, Mevlut on, but he did nothing when he was on the pitch. I don't know if he's
not taken Zanka off. Just put him up top in the last 2 minutes.
He scored a few goals for us. So
exactly.
Maybe take someone like Isla or Hasan Ali Kaldırım off. Just go to 3 at the back and
exactly.
But
any more positions you want to talk about?
No, not it's just our away form continues to disappoint.
It's much better. It's 100% better than ours.
Well,
you have 2 wins. We have 1.
I mean, that's a pretty low bar, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean,
you don't have to talk too much, man. You have like 1 point more than we do.
It's still 1 point more.
I saw an interesting stat saying outside of Istanbul, so not counting matches played in Vodafone or Turk Telecom, like Kasımpaşa or Başakşehir, in the last 13 matches, Fener have only won 2. So any match outside of Istanbul, the last 13, we've only got 2 victories. So and most of them have been defeats as well. So
you did have a dreadful season last season, so it's difficult to really, I mean, if you have to look at it this season, but it's just a thing across the board. Beşiktaş are struggling severely on the road. Galatasaray are struggling severely on the road. I don't know what Trabzonspor's road form is. I think it's actually not that bad because they dropped some points at home already. This is their second or their first loss at home, but then they also had a draw recently, didn't they?
Yeah, we lost. No, we won away against Çaykur Rize. That was a big one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know a lot about the games we lost at home. I think we lost 2.
Yeah. Anyway, it doesn't really. But yeah, it's just I think we have this discussion that's going on where people are saying the league is worse. Other people are saying no, the league is better. I think it's really a combination where you have the top teams have gone down in quality, but the other teams have gone up. So it's a weird thing. Has the league improved or has it decreased in quality? It's weird. It's difficult to say, I feel, because I do think that teams like Alanyaspor, they are just really good. I don't think that, let's say 2-3 years ago when Beşiktaş were playing good football and Başakşehir were playing good football, I think Alanyaspor would be in the mix with this team too, even then, against good opponents, so to speak. You know what I mean? So I think it's a little bit of a double-edged sword, really, where yes, the top teams aren't as good, but those other teams are improving, and we see it week in, week out. Again, anyone can beat anyone.
I honestly think that this year has been like the most fun of the last 3 years, because as you said, it's not like the big teams have gotten worse. The big teams weren't that great to begin with, to be honest, from last year. But the smaller teams have gotten really better. So it's really fun, it's really competitive, and I hope it keeps going like this.
It won't. As soon as the foreigner rule comes in, it's going to go back to being the big 3, and the other teams are going to get fucked. And
I don't know about that.
It is. I think it is. I think it's what we deserve for having such backwards people at the top.
I don't really think that's true, though, because I don't see how a foreign rule would improve that, because lots of these improve it for the big clubs, because look at the good young Turks. Where are they playing? They're all playing in the Anatolian teams.
Yeah, and I think they'll get transferred to the big teams. There's
no money.
Well, life will find a way, Kaan. And I think indeed,
a way. Huh?
It's going to be just another shit show. I think as soon as this foreign rule comes in,
I have my serious doubts. I think
I'm not very optimistic for the future. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, but the thing about the foreign rule is they can try and push it as much as they want, but if the clubs keep refusing it, it's not happening. You know, so the only way it's happening is if the majority of clubs say, okay, it's fine. I don't know if any clubs are pro right now. I mean, look at Galatasaray; they barely have a Turk in their squad. What are they gonna do? And I don't think that Beşiktaş or Fenerbahçe would be pro.
I mean, I don't think that they'd really have a lot of chance to to say anything, because not to get too much political, but when the big guy wants something, he's just going to push it through.
But yeah, that's true. But that happened like a year ago. It seemed like they were going to do that, and then they didn't. And I think that politically they've kind of taken a step back following the elections. I don't think they are that keen of meddling again, because they've noticed the backlash already. Because I think I genuinely believe that they lost Istanbul because, not only because, but I think a serious part of that is because of the meddling in football that the politics were doing, that were just going too far for many people. I think it turned off a lot of people. I think there's one thing in Turkey that you don't touch, and that's football.
Well, a lot of people have been turned off football anyway, just because of the constant bitching by various teams every week, and it'd be nice if that could just revert to. I mean, looking at the way we lost, to Kayseri, if we'd have lost and there would have been no controversial decisions that we didn't get, it would have been a lot more easier to stomach, because you could say, we banged on the door so much, like the Antalyaspor game that we lost at home. They scored an early goal and then they sat back and they soaked up everything we threw at them. We threw a kitchen sink, we threw God knows a bloody doner at them, we threw everything. We threw the Migros from the stadium at them, but it just bounced back. And that loss, you can sit there and go, you know what, it's frustrating, but we weren't completely fucked over. Whereas you look at the Kayserispor game and you're like, yeah, come on, something, we could have had at least one decision.
Yeah, it stacks up. I think all three of those positions are kind of like, I think they're all not even 50-50s, but I get when, I mean, for me, they're all kind of no. They're not Stonewall, you know what I mean? But I get if you have three of those in a match that you're like, fuck this shit, man. At least one, right? I get it. But
yeah, and when lots of other things happen as well in the match, but it's a lot harder to take that loss when those decisions you feel go against you, because I don't think the team played badly.
The thing I always find most frustrating in those types of matches is that that those teams, what type of football they're going to play. They're going to do lots of body checks. They're going to try and disrupt you early on. They're going to try and spoil the game, so to speak. And I think that's in their right. They are 100% in their right to do that. But I hate it when the referee protects them, because that's always what you see then.
Do you know how long it took them to get a yellow card in that game?
Exactly. That's my point. Then it's like they could have gotten
fucking minute.
Yeah,
and
they probably could have had a yellow after 2 or 3 minutes or whatever, and they probably could have had 4 in the first half or 5 or whatever, but then they get the first yellow card like past minute 60, past minute 70. That's the type of game. It's a typical, stereotypical type of game. It happens so often. And that's one of my biggest sources of frustration in football, those types of matches where I'm 100% okay with those teams playing like that. That's their right, but the refs need to step up. Well, and I'm not saying that they need to favor the big clubs, but they just need to call it down the fucking middle and not say, oh, you know what, in spirit of the game, I'm not going to pull a yellow card here, even though that was probably an orange card. You know what I mean?
No, 161 fouls. Kayseri have made the most fouls this season so far, and they have 29 cards. So you know what you're going to get when you get to Kayseri. So my advice to any teams who go to play Kayseri, just kick the absolute living fuck out of them. See how those cunts like it.
Anyway, we have one more match and we've spoken so much already. Let's quickly get to this one. The final match on Monday was Ankaragücü Gaziantep Football Club. This match ended 1-2 goals here coming in the 30th minute via Patrick Toumasi from the penalty spot. Ilham Parlak equalized in the 67th minute for Ankara Gücü, but another late last grasp winner here in the 3rd minute of stoppage time. Papis Diobodji scored with a header to win Gaziantep the match, and honestly I felt really bad for Ankara Gücü because I think they deserved more here. They didn't deserve to lose, but if you let a guy like Diloboc that open, as we say in Turkish, bomboş, yeah, what are you doing in defense? Just look at that goal. Burak, can you quickly take us through this match?
Yes, I managed to catch most of this match. Actually, I was drove back from the Lakes today in England, a lovely part of England if you're ever there, anyone, the Lake District. And it started off with both teams attacking each other. There was a lot of pace on show. The guys are here again with their plays, especially Swarmasi, dangerous player. He could go past you, a little bit raw, but a lovely big bundle of energy. And they get the first goal, the penalty that is given to them. Very, very, very clear. You know, the ball comes in and it comes off Pazdan's hand, and I don't think there's any argument about that one, personally. And it was finished by was it Somasi as well?
Somasi, and Korcan got it, almost got it.
Almost got it. Yeah. He did stronger wrists, where he just needs to exercise with a couple of cans of Fossilya and just strengthen your wrists. Korcan there. And then I think in the first half, that's not much else happened, of great deal. But second half, you can tell Ankara Gücü came out completely steaming out the blocks, really attacking Gaziantep really well. You could tell that they've been really fired up, and well-deserved equaliser through Ilham Parlak. I think it was a header from a cross that he scored. Just a good goal, lots of power, a good passionate celebration, jumped the barrier, ran to the fans, celebrated with them. Afterwards, you had Diarra booked for simulation. I think we talked about it before we went on there, actually. The start of the position, he actually controlled the ball with his hand and started to walk forward. That seemed to get ignored by the ref. And then there is no contact in the box. I can't remember which Ankara Gücü player it is. He comes almost steps across him, and Diarra is almost looking for a contact, kind of falls and flips onto the floor, and he gets a yellow card for simulation. But then, like you say, end of the match, it's like 90 plus second minute, cross comes in from
I think it was a free kick on the edge of the area, or was it a cross?
I can't remember. I think it was a free kick actually now. It's a free kick, so just outside the box, and you've got 4 or 5 Ankara Gücü players literally standing on the edge of the 6-yard box, just watching the ball come in. And what's Puppy, I can't pronounce that name. Diloboc. What's he doing? He's absolutely steaming in.
He used to play in the Premier League. Didn't he play for Chelsea or something?
I can't remember. Chelsea have had so many players over the years that have played 10 minutes.
He was one of those players that was always out on loan.
Could have been, but he just absolutely steams in and is like Wesley Snipes from Demolition Man haircut, just smashes the ball past Korcan in the Ankara Gücü goal, breaks Ankara Gücü hearts, and a smash and grab right at the end. But like we saw in the other games as well earlier this week, it just shows that you switch off just for a second, you'll get absolutely damaged. So I don't know if Ankara Gücü were looking at zonal marking back then, or if they had kind of switched off because it was getting towards the end of the game. But even if it is at the end of the game, you've got a free kick. The opposition's got a free kick literally just outside your penalty area, and you know it's going to be whipped in. So you've got to be prepared then. So I'm not sure if you should switch to man-to-man marking then, or if you should stay zonal. But what you definitely shouldn't do is just sit there and watch the ball come in with pace, and then just see this flash of Diloboc just run past you and absolutely belt it into the net. And Ankara Gücü hearts just broken, and they didn't deserve to lose, because I think they gave a really good account for themselves in the second half with some really good attacking football. And it's just one of those things that happen in football, last minute. I'm sure Ankara Gücü will do it to someone this season as well, but right now it'll feel that they've been stabbed in the heart.
Yeah, and it is an unfortunate defeat for Ankara Gücü, which leaves them near the bottom of the table. But let's quickly delve into the standings right now. Aytemiz Alanyaspor remain top of the table with 19 points. Now in second position are Sivasspor with 18 points. Then we have two teams on 17 points. Both Malatyaspor and Fenerbahce are on 17 points, but Malatyaspor have, I guess, the better goal differential, so they're in third position right now. Then we have three teams on 16 points, with Trabzonspor, Başakşehir, and Galatasaray in 5th, 6th, and 7th position, respectively. And then we have a couple more teams on 15 points, Beşiktaş and Gaziantep. So, the top 9 right now is divided by, from 9th place to 1st place is just 4 points difference at the moment. From 1st place to 16th place is 10 points at the moment. So that's the first relegation spot. So 10 matches into the season. The top 3 is Alanyaspor, Sivasspor, and Yeni Malatyaspor. Not a single tradition club in there. So no Beşiktaş, no Fenerbahce, no Galatasaray, no Trabzonspor. Just 3 obscure teams, in a manner of speaking. Of course, Sivas isn't an obscure club, but you know what I mean. So let's drop down to the bottom of the table. There's 3 teams that are currently dangling in the relegation zone. But first and foremost, Ankara Gücü, who played last on this match, they are on 9 points. They're in 16th position, and then both Kayserispor and Gençlerbirliği are on 7 points. That's Çaykur Rizespor are just above the line there with 11 points. So Ankara Gücü would need to get 2 points to get out of the zone, and Gençlerbirliği and Kayserispor need to continue picking up points as the weeks progress. Let's quickly head into the matchday 11 schedule. Fenerbahce on Friday takes on Kasımpaşa, who will be without Ricardo Quaresma as he is suspended. Gençlerbirliği take on Kayserispor on Saturday. Sivasspor take on Konyaspor, and Çaykur Rizespor take on Antalyaspor, and finally Gaziantep host Galatasaray on Saturday. Then on Sunday, Göztepe host Yeni Malatyaspor, Trabzonspor are hosting Alanyaspor, so a big game there. Başakşehir are hosting Ankara Gücü, and Beşiktaş are hosting Denizlispor. So those are the matchday 11 fixtures. I think that'll do it for this week. This looks like it's going to be a long episode. Umut, Yakup, and man of the law, Burak, thank you all very much for joining me. And of course, listeners, thank you for joining us as well on Football a la Turca. Please remember to hit that subscribe button on iTunes or Google Play or wherever you're listening to this podcast. If you're listening on YouTube, just go and subscribe on a podcast app. It's much easier. And drop us a 5-star review and share and such things. Just spread the word, share with your friends and family. For me, goodbye, and guys, thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
See you next week.
Thank you. And we'll have Özer Dindjer's little section from Terra to World up on our Facebook and Twitter very soon. So please make sure to check that out. See you next week. Bye.